But before we get to those things, we are going to go to the NFL and a bombshell report today about the Dallas Cowboys and how they paid out $2.4 million to 4 Dallas Cowgirls or Cowboy cheerleaders for sexual harassment accusations. Rob G, explain this thing in a little detail for us.
Yeah, so this goes back to 2015. Now, according to the cheerleaders, a former Cowboys exec, Mr. Dalrymple, I think it's Rick Dalrymple,
who was there for decades.
30 plus years in Dallas. 2015, he allegedly took his cell phone out and recorded them in the locker room while they were undressing. Now, according to the Cowboys, they said at the time they did a thorough investigation. They found no evidence of wrongdoing or that he even recorded the women at all. However, they still felt the need to pay off the $2.4 million.
Yeah, they just gave away money, Rob G, just because they just felt like, why not, right?
Exactly.
And
his name is Rich, not Rick. Richard.
Richard, I'm sorry. Yeah. And then another person, a longtime Cowboys fan, also alleged, I don't know if it was included in this same settlement, that he was taking upskirt photos with his cell phone of a different executive female.
It's all, well, go ahead and finish because I want to get to that.
Well, last but not least, obviously you would think he'd get let go or suspended in any kind of way when that happened. No, he actually continued working after the settlement was paid out for several years until he retired. When he retired, let's just take this over what you will, the Cowboys did not thank him, did not address him in any official capacity. He just kind of left.
And he retired.
He should have been fired.
Well, but here's the issue. They let him work for him for 6 more years after these accusations.
Correct.
And after the payment.
Yep.
And then he only resigned once ESPN started doing an investigation, right?
Correct.
Yep. And started asking questions. So it wasn't about they were going to fire him. The reason that he resigned is because ESPN was going to bring attention to this matter. And the reason that the Cowboys didn't send out any statement or whatever is because they wanted him to go away quietly.
They didn't want to bring more attention to him. Right.
It wasn't because they were disappointed with him because we got to get rid of him. Look at what he did. It was none of that. They only did it because they knew this story was coming out. And Rob, all of these accusations are ridiculous that this guy would do that. But the upskirt, now the details of that, Rob, are that the Cowboys, it was during the draft, right, Rob G? During the draft, their team was in the war room, and in there was Jerry Jones's daughter, and they were broadcasting their war room on Facebook. Was it Facebook? Yes, Facebook. And so for everybody to see, and allegedly this guy, Rich Dalrymple, still, Rob, was taking photos, upskirt photos. So he's getting his phone up under Jerry Jones's, daughter's dress somehow, to
see if he could see panties or whatever.
Yeah, and taking pictures. I guess he wanted to go look at later. So that should be easy to see. That should be, and Rob G, get in here if you want, but that shouldn't be difficult to find out. I would imagine they can get a copy of that stream or whatever. And I do think the Cowboys came out and said they couldn't find anything on it, right?
Yeah, they said basically, well, his excuse was he was using his phone for something else and that people might have assumed that he was taking an upskirt photo, but he was not.
Okay, yeah.
I will just say that. Do you really think, maybe he was, but this dude's stupid enough to do that on a live stream to the owner's daughter?
Yes. Chris, you say that, and I know what you're saying, which makes sense for somebody who's not warped or not demented or not like these are what you're talking about, what he's doing to get snap pictures if these allegations are all true, then he would be warped and it wouldn't matter who came in the room, just that it was a female and he was trying to get a look-see. Like you're what you're saying is for somebody logical. Right. You would be like, I'm not going to mess around with the boss's daughter and do it in front of a crowd. No.
Right. On TV, on a live stream on Facebook.
But you see people do crazy stuff all the time, and you go, every ounce of the place is covered by cameras. What are you doing?
Right.
And people do it. Right?
No, that's
people
true.
do it. So
yeah,
I'm just bothered by the whole idea. And shame on the Cowboys, shame on Jerry Jones that you would keep a person, Chris, around that long after those kind of allegations. Something's wrong there, and then to just have them quietly walk away because they're doing journalism and they're digging. And if there's nothing there, stand up with them, Jerry. Stand up and say,
there's obviously something.
Well,
there.
that's what I'm saying, Chris.
Million, yeah.
And they made a payment. So if he was exonerated, there is no payment. We didn't find any truth to this. We're not paying a dime.
Let me throw something else out logical, Rob. Can we do? And it's sad that it has to come to this, because you would think that a corporation. And some do. We had a situation, Rob, at one of our places of employment where they did an internal investigation, right? And got rid of somebody who was very good at his job.
Who's this? Where?
So at one of our companies, I'm not going to say it on the air.
Right. Oh, yeah, big
you know
time.
what I'm talking about.
Yep. Okay. Yep.
And so there are companies that will do a real legitimate investigation. But I just think in the world of sports now, we've seen enough. Can we do away with the internal investigations and have an objective outside team come in and do an investigation?
And do a real thorough job.
Right.
And if there's nothing there, Chris,
the Washington Commanders don't get to investigate themselves.
Exactly.
The Dallas Cowboys don't get to investigate themselves. The Dallas Mavericks, remember, they had issues too, don't get to investigate themselves.
And
an
Chris,
objective outside investigation, they come in and do it. Period.
I agree. I mean, that's the only way you're going to get it. Whenever people are involved and you don't want the organization to look bad. And, Chris, if more stuff comes out, that $2.4 million settlement might be $8 million or $10 million.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, if it's worse. So you try to, quiet it down.
That's bad, Rob. Like, if he was taking photos and videos of the Cowboys cheerleaders getting undressed and dressed, that to me, I would think that'd be worth way more than, because they said each cheerleader got about $400,000 each.
Right.
I think Chris, that would be worth way more than that. Like if that was my wife or if that was my daughter and somebody's taking videos of them getting undressed, that's going to be worth a lot more than $400,000.
No, I get it, but I don't know how much of it that they had. Like there's a whole thing, a burden of proof. You don't want to. Would you take a settlement, Chris, of $400,000 or go to court?
No, I'm not blaming them.
And have a chance of a jury not saying, well, it's inconclusive, and have one person on the jury say that they can't go with the, you know what I mean? Like,
no, I hear you. I'm just saying on the Cowboy side, though, they're looking at it like, oh, yeah, we'll give them $2 million.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And make it go away. And that, to them, that's not that big of a deal.
That's chump change for the Cowboys.
In the investigation, they took Rich Dalrymple's phone, his company paid the phone that he got from the company.
Right.
But, and I don't know, maybe that was his only phone. But when the cheerleaders were like, well, does he have personal phones? Get those. And they said, well, we asked him and he said, this is the only phone he had. Okay. I mean, maybe it was, but I'm just saying, can you dig a little deeper? And if you're doing that, and again, you're right, maybe the dude is perverted. He doesn't think logically. But you would think, Rob, if you're going to do that, would you do it on the company phone?
No.
Or would you do it on your private
Chris,
phone?
You're right. But ask John Gruden, who sent those emails on company email.
Right. True.
You would say, use your own email. Why would you put that? That's ESPN.com. That's their email. They have access to that. Chris, we all have company emails, right? You put anything on there, they catch you with porn or anything, you're in trouble on a company email.
Right.
You can't do that. It's crazy, but I don't know if they could have gone back, Chris, subpoenaed his phone and, and maybe tried to go on the cloud and see what pictures were up there. You know what I mean? Like when you take pictures, they're automatically sent up to a cloud. So depending on what kind of phone it was, I don't know what the investigation was, but there's a way of tracing. They do it all the time with people on computers when they kill people. I watch forensic files all the time. And they'll go in there, Chris, and you wiped out the memory, right? And they can still go and retrieve it. And it'll be like, how to cover up a murder, how to poison something. You're Googling it.
Right.
How to poison somebody and cover up the signs that they were poisoned.
Right.
And then your spouse winds up poisoned.
That's why, was it Hillary Clinton? Remember they destroyed all those computers or something like that? Destroyed all those for emails and something like I might be getting it mixed up, but that's why people absolutely destroy cell phones.
Tom Brady and destroyed his cell phone, right? Tom Brady.
They don't just, let me clear my history, right? It's like you destroy it, so there's absolutely, but there still might be a way. Who knows? It would seem like it because that cloud is dangerous, man. That cloud is like,
it's all there.
Who knows what's in the cloud?
It's all there in the cloud, man. No doubt.
And for those who might say, and I don't think anybody out there is saying that what he was doing was okay. But for those might say some of this is, it's boys being boys, locker room.
Oh, no, it ain't.
No, if you feel that way, you've got to think of the women in your life.
Yep.
Again, if it was a daughter.
Why should they be subjected to this, Chris?
Absolutely. Like my daughters and wife work. I'd hate to think they're going into an environment like this where they have to be subject to foolishness like that. Nobody deserves that. And so if that is a culture somewhere, it's got to change. It's just as simple as that.